$199.
Hi, my name is Mateo Mejia, and I'm a hybrid filmmaker.
Your number is formally called.
And we're breaking down my shots. This was the second hybrid film that I ever made.
Look, your current state, being tired or undernourished, could be shaping how intense these feelings seem.
Come here.
Making them more vivid than they actually are.
Don't let go.
And that's just insanity. That's ridiculous.
What I thought would be cool was I wanted to make this character that was talking to a psychiatrist about these visions and these entities that he keeps seeing that he just can't explain.
There'd have to be a reason as to why I see what I see. I mean, otherwise, my brain's going through a whole lot of trouble just to make something up.
This scene specifically, we're cutting into one of those hallucinations that he had. This girl character right here that's played by one of my really good friends. She actually allowed us to use her place. We cleared out her entire living room out specifically for the shot. The way that I achieved the shot of this wave just flooding this whole entire house was that I first started everything, again, traditionally in camera. We set up a light outside this window as a backlight to hit my character. There was another light out this window just to kind of just add more texture. Camera's obviously right here. I think we were on a 12 mil. Camera was pretty high, tilted down. I love those kind of shots. Not a top down, but just like a tilt down. We had a 300C aperture right there. We had this backlight right here. And we also had a soft light right here keyed on, but I actually ended up taking this light out because it was like right here on the frame. And also we had an aperture bulb flickering in this lamp just to kind of give it that eerie vibe. This was before you were able to input a video and then add things to it and manipulate it. You still had to mess around with stills. So I got a good still of this light setup, and I grabbed this still and I put it into a Japanese model called Mini Labs, I think. I prompted the house just being consumed by this wave of water. Something more detailed than that. And what I find really interesting is even on this window, because of the lighting, the water is also highlighted as well. And so it gives this whole nice trail of light passing through the water. I wanted to get this feeling of like ramp speed, right? Like it going from fast to slow. What I ended up doing was that I upscaled this image 24 frames, 4K, had one in 24, and then I generated another one using Topaz, one in 120 frames per second. Stacked these both on top of each other. I slowed down the one that was 120 and cut it up with the right pacing so the waves could look like they're going from fast to slow, fast to slow. When the water completely consumes us, there's this shot where it just explodes and then it just freezes kind of and just kind of moves like that. That was all done with Topaz, and it's just insane because ever since I've made this shot, I now have that in the back of my mind that I can do that within any frame if I need to. And what's really interesting as well is that it did kind of make the water drip on the tights, and it kind of did make us look like we were actually wet, and that's pretty cool, like that it can do that. I'm pretty sure you can do way more now. This is a shot that I made a year ago. It'd be interesting to try to make this today. So this shot comes right after the shot where I'm hugging this character. So this is the aftermath. I'm just holding this character while water's dripping. So before anything, all of this is shot in camera, color graded way before. What we did was we shot in a parking lot at 3 a.m. We shot this on an 85 mil because I wanted that very compressed look. I wanted the full focus to be just on the characters. And the only light source that we had at the time was this big spotlight right here. It was a 600D aperture. It was just giving us this nice little backlight. Before it was this wide, it was actually like up close, like probably like right here, like this was the original shot. We were like that cropped in. The power was run by this house right here. And so we had like this house like right over here. and that's where the power was. There's no generator or anything. And then through extending it, I'm able to completely hide the light. Nowadays, what's really cool is like you could use a tool like Kling 3.0 and you could just ask, hey, take the spotlight out, and it'll take it out and it'll look like there was never a light there. And what I did first was grab that still, and what I prompted was I wanted water dripping from her hair and from the characters. After a couple tries, it eventually worked the way I wanted it to. Then I grabbed that same frame and I put it into this one video model called Runway, and I used their extend tool, which was like the best extend tool at the time. Like you could use Photoshop, generative fill, it's cool, but the difference is generative fill is just extending a still. With Runway at the time, it was the only tool that you could extend a video, and what was really, really sick was that it made this nice little reflection of the characters within the water. And you grab that again and you put it into Topaz, you upscale it to 4K, 24 frames, and that's pretty much how you achieve the shot. This is actually probably one of my favorite shots.
Number 1. Remain seated. Ticket will be called shortly. Warning, remain seated. Warning.
It's my turn! I'm waiting for
Warning.
So another shot, obviously in camera, like always. I saw this room at this movie theater in Houston, Texas. It's called Edwards Theater. It's this room that's just completely painted teal blue that no one knows about, in the middle of like nowhere in this parking lot that nobody goes to. And I thought of this idea, like how cool would it be if I played this character that was sitting in this room just impatient, waiting for my turn to be called. And I wanted to have this TV character that came to life that was basically telling me to calm down for being so impatient, for not being called on. So we used the super easy run and gun setup. This is like an FX3 12mm lens for this specific shot, but most of the video was shot just on a 24 and one ND filter. There wasn't really much lighting at all. There was like a couple tube lights to fill in maybe like a key on my character. There was already a fluorescent light above basically every single shot in this video, so that was enough to be able to light every single frame. So before shooting this, I wanted to find the perfect TV. I wanted this vintage 1960s old vintage TV, right? Like I've been very inspired by films like Brazil, and I wanted to kind of give like this like weird, cheesy, like silly animated style. I went through eBay, I went through Facebook Marketplace trying to find the perfect TV until I realized like, wait a second, what am I doing here? Like I can screenshot the TV that I want and I can bring it to life with a bunch of these tools. I can tweak the look and I can get it to be exactly the way I want it to be. So basically what I did was I grabbed this screenshot of this vintage TV that I found on Facebook Marketplace and I put it into this one image model called Reeve.ai. I like Reeve a lot to create digital props, and I asked, give me various different versions of this TV. Then what I did was I picked my favorite version. It still wasn't perfect. Threw it into this other image model called Midjourney, used their in-painting tool, and tweaked it just a tiny bit to get it to be exactly how I wanted it to be. I brought that image, the one that I really liked, and I put it into Nano Banana Pro, which is an image model that a lot of people like nowadays. It's probably my favorite tool right now because you just have so much control. What's really sick about it is I'm able to place this TV into the corner that I already shot, and it matches the lighting and it matches the color. Now that I got the image that I wanted, we're going to put it into a video model so we can actually bring it to life. Creating the voice of this character was kind of interesting because I was surfing through the internet trying to find an old like 80s news reporter voice, right? I used 11 Labs, the voice generator, and I trained that voice generator on a bunch of takes from like old news reports from the 80s. This corner shot, I wanted it to look kind of silly and stuff, so I used like a 12mm super wide but up close, so it gives that kind of like funky look, right? Color graded that image because we want to color grade this stuff way before even using any of these tools. And once I was done designing the TV with all these image models, I was able to use Nano Banana to get it directly into this corner of the frame. And what was really unique about Nano Banana is that it gives this shadow, like as if it was actually there. That's what I think is so unique about this tool, is like it matches the color and it matches the lighting as much as possible. It's not something that I have to do in post. Like post is color grading all of this before even placing the prop or the character in. To be able to bring the TV to life, what I did was I grabbed the still that I created with Nano Banana, now that we finally got the actual TV in the corner that I shot. And I prompted something like TV becoming super furious or angry. And nothing too difficult. I think I did do like a detailed prompt, and I created it with Claude. Then I placed that into VO3. When I was prompting the numbers that the TV was calling, I actually kept getting these issues where the numbers would come off of the screen, and I didn't really understand why. Like they'd be like over here, and I'd have like these like weird like static artifacts like all over here. I realized that I needed to stop prompting it directly to the video model. I needed to take it back to Nano Banana Pro and actually prompt these numbers into the actual still before bringing it to life. Whenever I've made the TV become furious and mad, I actually put it into this image model and created the angry face before actually bringing it to life. In order to get this TV to have these big alarms coming out whenever the character starts screaming for his turn, what I did was I actually created those cop lights with Reeve AI and placed that into Nano Banana as a reference. And I created another still of this TV with the cop lights on, put it into VO3, made a prompt where TV becomes furious and cop lights come out of its head. It was a little more detailed than that, but just to get to the point. And it created this whole perfect video image. And then you also grab that and place it into Topaz and upscale it so it can match the overall video. I started experimenting with AI back in 2023 when this whole AI boom even started. You know, back when the release of ChatGPT was like the most popular thing. I remember this post that one of my friends sent me on Twitter. It was some tech founder, and he was talking about how we don't need creatives anymore. We're not going to need big studios. Like, we're going to have a streaming service eventually that will be able to create any movie. And matter of fact, you'll be able to star in that film. And man, I just remember feeling so useless, like immediately.
A little over 2 years ago, I had somewhat of a midlife crisis. I got madly obsessed with AI because I was genuinely scared of it. And I mean not being able to sleep for various nights, pacing the room on the verge of smashing my camera, questioning the years I've spent chasing something that might have never been worth it.
I couldn't sleep for quite a while. Like when I would wake up in 2023 specifically, it was kind of like the first thing that I would think about. So naturally, I wanted to know everything about it. And I was actually I was curious as to why no one else cared. I was looking for hope, essentially. Like when I would go on YouTube, I was looking for that filmmaker or that one artist to tell me that everything was going to be okay, only to realize that no one was even talking about this stuff. And that made me become very obsessed with playing around with these tools.
I keep thinking about this Charles Darwin quote. It's not the strongest of the species that survives, nor the most intelligent, but the one that is most responsive to change. It took me a while to accept the fact that I've been so attached to what I do that it was hard to picture a day where it would most likely look different. But as of recently, I've found comfort in realizing ultimately, I love to build. I love projects, and what I'm passionate about is constantly making new things.
This shot was kind of a headache.
My turn! I'm waiting to go
Number 471.
In the moment, I was thinking about this specific tool by Runway Aleph, where you could reference images and add them into video. And so I had this idea last minute where it's like, okay, what if these like monsters just came in and just carried me away because I just took it too far. So the way that I did it was I first started with creating the actual monsters. I needed monsters that didn't have mouths or noses, just wanted these bright red eyes and no nose, no detail in the mouths or anything, because then the AI is going to distort it and it's not going to look real. I used all these references that I found on Pinterest and I threw them into Reeve AI to give me various different references. Then I grabbed that and I put it into Midjourney, and with the InPaint tool I was able to change up their nose, their mouths to where it's only their eyes. I also was able to give them claws, and once I finalized the images of the actual monsters, I exported those and had those as a reference to be able to place into Runway Aleph. So now you grab the frame of me just acting out the entire scene, you place that into Runway Aleph, and what you're going to do is you're going to prompt these angry, scary monsters carrying the subject away. I think it was a more detailed prompt, but I'm just kind of giving you a blueprint of what I usually do is just I come up with like a simple blueprint and I feed that into one of these chat bots, and they'll spit me out a even more detailed prompt that I'll kind of tweak a little bit more, and then I place that into the video model that I'm using. So for this specifically, when I put it into Runway Aleph, I'm able to actually get these characters to come to life and carry me out of the scene. Now the problem here is that it generates the entire frame, so it starts distorting my face. So how do we fix that? The way to be able to fix that is through masking and compositing. You put the generated clip under the original, and you want to mask you, the subject, on top of the generated clip. That way, your performance, your face, the details remain, and it doesn't get distorted by the AI, and it makes it look like it's actually happening. Then you export that whole frame, and you put it into Topaz and upscale and all that jazz. But what was giving me such a headache was the hands. It just didn't look real. It didn't look like they were actually grasping onto my character. For it to actually look real, I had to go frame by frame and mask it like it was like 2016 again, and these magic mask tools didn't exist. But with enough patience and enough effort into this tedious way of doing things, I was able to actually make it happen. So making these hybrid films has changed the process of filmmaking for me in various different ways. To me, in my style specifically, like, color is the most important part. I think that's kind of what makes these tools shine the best, right? If you're taking the time to actually light your image well and taking the time to actually grade, what you're generating is referencing what you're making traditionally. To me, color has always been one of those aspects in filmmaking that really helps convey a certain feeling. When it comes to hybrid work, it's just as important, you know? Like, it's not like you can just prompt these characters coming into the shot and it's all gonna look nice. For example, this clip specifically, when I was finished masking, I still put an adjustment layer above both of these clips, and I made sure to add a little bit of glow, add a bit more grain, halation. For me, the color, the use of the camera is still very much important. It's still important. I don't see myself being able to make complete synthetic films because I feel like my most important paintbrush is the camera. I think for creatives that are angry and nervous about AI, it's valid. I come from a background of like wanting to make the films that my heroes made. You know, like I wanted to make the films that came out in the early 2000s or the 90s. The truth is, it's like, that's not how it is anymore, and that's not how it's going to be. You know, I've been through it, you know, like where it's like, you got to figure out how to make this thing with what you have. You got to make this thing without any money. For me, like, as a creative like that, who's been able to let go of that, who has been able to say, you know what, I'm going to make this regardless if I have a budget, regardless if somebody tells me if I can do it or not, gives me so much power in the world where you're able to do it all. Because beforehand, I was going to do it anyways. So now it's like, the sky's the limit.
Oh, hi. It's me, Joe Posner, aka Discount Jack Conti. I find the way that Mateo uses AI as a filmmaker absolutely fascinating and a little hard to follow. So we mapped Mateo's process in a flowchart, made a full list of the tools he uses, so you can find that on the Digital Spaghetti Patreon page for free. And we also created this interactive to gather how all of you have been feeling about the different AI use cases that we cover and beyond. So tell us at giftorcurse.ai. Thank you for watching. We've got a couple more episodes, and maybe by the end of this month, I will come up with a better Slop song.